I'm doing the webinar again, how to build $1 million net worth and become financially independent at any age. Why am I doing this again? It's because you guys had so many juicy questions after the webinar was over. We stayed on for almost an additional hour because you guys want to talk about money. You want to ask all the questions that are confusing you, that are stumping you, that you haven't gotten the answers to. And I was there and I'm willing to stay on to answer those questions for you. And when you get to be in community with other people who are asking questions and you're realizing, hey, that's a question I had, and you get a real live individual who can answer the questions for you. Somebody who worked a 9 to 5, somebody who is a W-2 earner, someone who wasn't born rich, but understands that you want to build that $1 million net worth and become financially independent, and that your age isn't the sole determinant of whether or not you will become financially free. So I want you to show up live. It's going to be Tuesday, December 30th at 7 p.m. Eastern. Come live with your questions. Come prepared. There aren't any questions that I am unwilling to answer about your money. It is so important for you to take advantage of this opportunity to set yourself up right for 2026. I cannot wait to see you there. Welcome back to From Middle Class to Millions. I want to make sure that I say Merry Christmas to you. And I know that you're probably spending time with your family, so I really want to thank you for joining in here and listening to me and listening to this episode. So I'm going to make it really brief because I think that this is going to be really helpful for you because it can be a Christmas gift that you can give yourself this year. I want to talk about some clients who came to me with some of the traditional reasons why clients came to me. They came to me because they said they wanted to invest more. They felt that their budgets were a little tight and they needed to make some adjustments. They'd been making money, but they were still living paycheck to paycheck. You know, all of the reasons why people come to me and say, look, I want some more freedom in my budget. I want some more investment funds. I want to be able to retire one day. I want to be able to do all the things that I've been promised in this life, right? And so they come to me and they say these things and then they decide, okay, it's actually time to get to work. And, you know, these are kind of the classic reasons why people approach me and say they want to work with someone like me. Now, of course, these were high earners. When they started working together, I saw some patterns. I saw some patterns that were there, and they looked a little bit like this. And tell me if this sounds familiar to you, because for some of you, this may be exactly what's going on. You know, they were sneaking money from their savings account over to their checking account. They were tapping into their line of credit. They were using their credit cards, but sometimes they weren't able to pay them off in full. And they were just going back and forth with these things. Like every month they'd tell me, oh yeah, like if they needed to go on a trip, they would take it from their line of credit or they would take some money from their savings. They were using these accounts as a way to patch the holes that they had when they were living from month to month. But what was fascinating about this is that in November, for the very first time, they told me in a decade, they didn't do that. They didn't take the money from their savings account. They didn't tap into their line of credit. They were able to pay off their credit card in full, and they had a little bit of money left over. And they were confused, actually, because they wanted to know what was actually going on here. Because for the very first time, they were living within their means. Now, I know a lot of the times when we talk about living below your means, that sounds terrible, right? It sounds like there's going to be a lot of deprivation. There's going to be a lot of restriction. It's just a bunch of no's everywhere, things that you can't do, you want to do, but you aren't going to be able to do. That's what we expect when we're thinking about living below our means. But living within your means means that you're making actual choices that allow you to do the things that are really important to you and the things that you value. And for the first time, they were able to do this without sacrificing what they wanted to do in the present tense, but also not jeopardizing their future. So they weren't stealing from any other places. They weren't robbing Peter to pay Paul. They were actually living with the money that they had. And November was the very first time that they saw that they were able to do that. And remember, these are the folks that said they didn't have any more money to invest. Even though for years they were getting promotions and increases in their salaries and they got new jobs and they had built up their business between the two of them. All of this additional money was coming in over the years. Yet still, they were never able to feel like they could get ahead. And so it was so curious to them that during the month of November, that they didn't have this problem anymore, that it suddenly seemed to vanish. When in actuality, that's not what happened. We'd been working on their cash flow. We'd been working on what money was coming in and what money was going out. We'd been looking at it for quite some time. So to them, it felt like, oh, it was miraculous that suddenly, 3 months in, they were able to live within their means, when for a decade, they had been going over every single month, every single time. And sometimes it extended beyond this line of credit or their savings accounts. Sometimes it was an income tax refund that they would use to patch the holes or get caught up. Or it would be a bonus that they would use to patch the holes or get caught up. You see, they didn't have a proper system. And when their lifestyle started to expand, they weren't able to keep up with it. So they would always use other sources to fuel it. And they knew it. Inherently, they knew it. They didn't come to me saying, we want to live within our means. No, that's not what they came to me with. They came to me with this feeling of, why is it always tight? Why is it that we're making good money? Why is it that we've had an increase in our salary and our income over the years, and yet still we can't seem to invest more, we can't seem to get ahead, there doesn't seem to be any wiggle room. What they didn't realize is that when they came to me, that's exactly what I was going to look at. I was going to look at these behavioral patterns that they had, what they were actually doing, so that I could hone in immediately on what I saw going on. So I could point it out to them and hold a mirror up to what they'd been doing for a decade. I was able to interrupt the cycle. And when they saw that, then collectively, the two of them could make a decision. They could decide what they wanted to do with their money instead. They could decide how they wanted to proceed. I gave them options based on their personal circumstance. And once they had those options, they were able to implement them. Because you know what? We all know, I know what I should do. I hear that a lot. I know what I should do. I just need to do it. But guess what? Knowing what you should do isn't enough. Actually implementing what needs to be done is what makes the difference. And a lot of times it's me holding up a mirror to what's going on, me providing options to you so that you and or your partner can decide together what makes sense for you guys. And then you guys actually have the accountability and the guidance to do just what needs to be done in order to make a change. So this didn't just miraculously happen in November based on, a little pixie dust. We were working towards it, but they didn't know that this was actually going to be the outcome. Sure, I told them that they're going to have enough money to continue to invest and to invest more, but they didn't see it. Because for so long it was tight. Yeah, they'd been investing for years, but they were never able to increase it. They never thought that they would be able to increase the amount of money that they were investing, even though they were making more money year after year after year. So by just interrupting that cycle, we've changed the whole dynamic of the way that they look at their finances. We've changed the whole way that they look at their savings accounts, their line of credit, all of those things. They realize that they don't need to touch them. They don't need to access them. They never made any additional money while we were working together. And we're still working together. And they haven't gotten any raises and they haven't gotten any bonuses. And nothing has changed. Only the fact that they've been able to now increase their investments because now for the first time ever, they're living within their means. That's simple, yet what seemed nebulous to them, pattern shift, behavioral shift, that interruption that I did was enough to make a difference for them. That was enough for them to say, now I can start investing more. And just like that, we've decided that they can increase their investments. Now, I couldn't come in right away and say to them, hey, let's increase your investments another 10%, another 5%, whatever. They would have said there's absolutely no way we could do that. And they would have been correct. The way that they were living, it didn't look like they could do that. But they were able to do it by making these slight adjustments, looking at their money, being aware, having the mirror held up to them so that they could see what was really going on, so that they could align their goals and the decisions that they were making. They were now able to see that, we do have enough money to increase our investments. But what we were doing before, it wasn't crystal clear to us, and now it is. I want you to give yourself this gift for Christmas. I want you to take a look at what's going on with your money. A lot of it starts with you sitting down and getting it organized quickly within 30 days to get the whole picture, the entire picture of what's going on. The minute you're able to do that, then you can move on to building wealth based on your salary. You can build a 7-figure net worth, but you need to be able to get that debt and cash flow stabilized. You need to build that emergency fund. You need to know what the behavioral patterns are that need to be interrupted. Once you do that, you can focus strictly on growth. You can walk right into 2026, increasing your investments and your contributions and making sure that you're actually heading in the direction that you want to be in. No more stealing from your own security. No more taking from your savings or your line of credit. No more having credit card bills that you can't pay off. You can interrupt this entire cycle. But it's not enough to just say, I know what I need to do. I just need to do it. You need help. You need accountability. And you know where to find that person. I'm right here. Book a call with me. Let's get on the phone. Let's walk into 2026 with some confidence. Let's break the pattern, break the cycle, and do something different for yourself. This is the Christmas gift that you deserve. It is not going to cost you anything to book the call. I look forward to speaking to you. Go have a Merry Christmas with your family. For those of you who celebrate, enjoy the time that you're spending with your loved ones, and make sure you'll be back here next week. We will be in the new year.